All right. It's 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on this rather interesting Sunday, August 9th, 2026. I am Wes, the creator, co-host, and social media manager of this Star Trek podcast called Twin Cities Trekkies, a Star Trek podcast talking about everything from the original Star Trek all the way to Star Trek Starfleet Academy and everything in between. And this is our second attempt of the season, live episode number 19, talking about Star Trek Strange New World, Season 4, Episode 3, Human Best Friend. Before we get into the discussion about the episode and other things on my mind, I want to let you guys know that the chat is open, so you can drop by, say hello, and feel free to drop yourselves in and talk about with me the latest episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And if you want to get in touch with us on other ways, you can definitely do that. We are available on 4 different social media sites: Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok. You can find us on Facebook at TC Trekkies Pod. Our Instagram handle is Twin Cities Trekkies Pod, all one word. You can find us on Blue Sky, and search out TC Trekkies, or follow us on TikTok at Twin Cities Trekkie. If you want to leave us a comment on social media, if you want to leave us an email, send us an email at tctrekkiespodcast@gmail.com. You can feel free to send us an email with anything you'd like to say. If this episode of Strange New Worlds was one of your favorites, it was not one of mine, you can definitely let us know, and I'll gladly read your email on the air. If you want to leave us a comment on Spotify, when the episode's live stream audio will be dropping on Tuesday evening, you can definitely do that. Navigate to live episode number 19 in the that's what we called in the Spotify feed. Type your comment there and post it. Just keep in mind it takes about 1 day for the comment to reach back to us via an email. But just keep an eye that any emails or comments could be read on a future episode of this podcast. Well, let's talk about some interesting things that have happened in the last few weeks and stuff like that. We tried to do a live stream last week, and I was going for 39 minutes and 49 seconds. However, at about 2 minutes and 38 seconds into the live stream last Sunday, we had connectivity issues, and it never fully recovered. So it only captured 2 minutes and 38 seconds. So we might be ending doing these live streams because of the fact of the matter is there's a lot of variables, mainly due to connectivity issues or other things of the sort. And we might just do mini episodes. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that just yet. But we might just keep continuing to do this. We might do live streams in the off season between seasons, because we only have 2 more seasons of Star Trek left to go before this era of Star Trek is over with, which is the second and final season of Starfleet Academy and season 5 of Strange New Worlds. I might be trying to get Zoom to be used as part of this, so it might be a more stabilized thing, and we could probably put graphics down and stuff like that for you to watch and stuff like that, and maybe get some comments popping up on the screen and stuff like that. That'd be great. But that's for something in the future. But right now, let's talk about other things on my mind. First of all, I if you follow the podcast on Instagram, I made a video on Friday afternoon. We do have all the episodes ready for the Star Trek Film Extravaganza. However, due to copyright issues with the music that was used for some of it, I had gotten an email from Spotify regarding those 5 episodes of the Star Trek Film Extravaganza, and said that there was copyright issues. Well, I had actually ignored those. I thought I don't check my podcast email that often. I merely follow. I usually keep track of my personal email. But what had happened was episodes 119, 120, 121, 124, and 125 were removed from were removed from Spotify. Spotify hosts the podcast, so you have to be very careful regarding copyright issues and stuff like that. I'm surprised that they haven't taken down the previous 5 episodes of the extravaganza we did in 2024. Maybe because I had actually credited them and stuff like that. Maybe because that's probably why. But maybe it was grandfathered in. Who knows? But that's what happened. The episodes are available on other podcast catchers. However, they are no longer able to be played on Spotify directly. So if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify, it goes from episode 118 straight to episode 122, which was my first of 2 Convergence panels I did. I am going to be working on getting them all redone. That's the benefit of doing a podcast, is that you can, if you're recording it ahead of time with Zoom and stuff like that, you can actually break it up into segments and stuff like that and put new music in. That's pretty much what we have to do. We have to put in non-copyrighted music into the into the show. So it's just a minor thing. They will be reposted over the course of the next week. Episode 126 will be available this Friday as opposed to last Friday, stuff like that. So we are going to try to get that all situated, and you can listen to episodes 119, 120, 121, and 124 and 125 again on Spotify. So that's what happened. Those episodes of the previous 5 episodes of the extravaganza have been removed from the service. So we're gonna try to do this again. We're gonna not put in too much of the music, because one of the episodes was flagged. The Star Trek 6 discussion with Jeffrey from Renegade Shipyards had the most flags for copyrighted music, but the rest of them were because of the intro music to the extravaganza. So we're gonna have to redo that too. And I thought maybe because I had done an orchestral version, not the actual version from Werner Rosenman, I thought maybe I was kind of circumventing it, and I guess I wasn't. So that's why. So episodes 119, 120, 121, 124, 125 will be reposted on Spotify, and they'll be back in your Spotify feed. That means that the podcast order is not necessarily the great ideal, but it is what it is. I just want all the episodes back, and that's what we're going to be doing. So the episode with Star Trek Beyond with Heather is going to be posted on Friday. I'm going to try to get the other 5 episodes done between Monday and Thursday of this week, and we'll get episode 126 out, and stuff like that. So we probably won't. We'll probably include 2 of the 3 trailers for Star Trek Beyond in the audio, but we probably won't include the one that with Rihanna's song Sledgehammer because of the copyright issues. So, but definitely it was due to that reasoning that we had some episodes removed from the podcast feed on Spotify. You can listen to it on other podcast catchers such as Pocket Cast and stuff like that. They're on order, but you can't listen to them on Spotify anymore. So just thought I'd let you know that you can't really do that. So another thing on the podcast docket is because I'm having serious FOMO, by the way. Many of the podcast followers that we have, such as Jesse from Crusher Convo and Chris, aka Mean Space 9, and other people who are there at STLV. This is the final day at STLV. If you're there, I hope you are having a great time. People like Katie Nicolau and the Pages, Chris, the Transporter Room, and stuff like that. And I hope you're having a great time at STLV. And I hope that you will be able to come home to wherever you're coming from, trying to get yourself home safely and soundly. Obviously, we don't want you to die on the way home. So, so like people from like Linda who lives in Florida, or Katie Nicolau who lives in Michigan, or or people as well and stuff like that. So if you're at STLV today, I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope you enjoyed all the panels. Especially apparently there was one with the Janeway and Chakotay shippers, and then included Ellie Littlechild, Katie Nicolau, and Linda Pages. Had Kevin and Dad Hageman from Star Trek Prodigy. So that was probably a hoot in of itself. And then the whole thing with Jonathan Frakes and Brent Spiner's podcast, dropping names and other things. They did a live show from there, from STLV, and the Decon Chamber with Dominic Keating and Connor Trenier. They were doing a live show there too. And then also, of course, the Enterprise panel, the 25th anniversary of Enterprise, talking about Enterprise, obviously, possibly Star Trek United, which I really am hopeful they'll get greenlit soon, because I actually personally prefer that one over Star Trek Legacy, and I personally prefer that over the other such pitches that have been posted about Star Trek lately, and stuff like that. So. What else? Oh yeah. The big news is that the Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount Skydance merger is currently on hold until at least March of 2027, when there will be an antitrust trial starting. Paramount Skydance is going to be paying its shareholders $7 million a month, for every month that the deal has not been finalized. It has been approved in the UK, has been approved by the EU, and has been approved by the US by the FCC. It's just a matter of now 12 attorneys general of the United States, including California's own attorney general and Minnesota's attorney general, Keith Ellison, no relation, by the way, to stop the merger from happening. I'm on the side of no merger, because of the fact of the matter is, if we have a super conglomeration of media, it will be dictating what is seen and what is not seen, and that could potentially affect Star Trek, particularly if they're going to do both Star Trek movies and television, especially because right now the television aspect of Star Trek is going to be ending in 2027. But it could extend longer depending on what's going to happen. Because I'm not sure, but I think Alex Kurtzman's contract is officially over. But it could be he's until December 31st. I'm under the impression it's until the end of the year. So that's why we haven't had new announcements or anything like that of shows or TV or movie. We have one announcement of a film. They have revealed at Comic-Con that there's going to be a new era of Star Trek with a brand new cast, brand new ship, brand new characters, and stuff like that. We don't know if it's Prime or is it a totally new timeline. Could be and it's not Kelvin, but we don't know. But it's the people who are making the D&D movie that made it with the 2024 D&D movie with Chris Pine. So you never know. Chris Pine could come back to Star Trek, just not as Captain Kirk. So who knows? Because they probably had a good relationship with him. They probably want to work with him again. So you never know. Chris Pine could return to Star Trek, just not as Captain Kirk. So we don't know. I mean, they're slowly working on it. I would anticipate we'd probably get it by the end of the decade. So if it comes to fruition at all. I mean, we've had so many false starts since 2017. So. We've had so many false starts. I'm going like this screen's box office bomb all over it. And then we had the news over at Comic-Con about Jerry O'Connell, the voice of Captain Ransom in Captain Ransom in Lower Decks, said that Mike McMahon is not done with Lower Decks. Mike McMahon himself said he had 2 more seasons worth of material he wanted to tackle in Lower Decks, and he never got a chance because Paramount decided they ended after 5 seasons. I'm hearing rumors of a Lower Decks movie, and that movie should be in the theaters, not the one that's coming out from the people who made the D&D movie, because I personally believe it is going to cause a box office bomb. And that's probably what the Ellisons in my opinion, what the Ellisons want. They probably want Star Trek to bomb out, so it just sits on the shelf and never is talked about again. Because some of these older franchises like Star Trek and other such media franchises such as Star Trek and Star Wars and stuff like that, yeah, they've been around for decades, but one of them is going to be put on the shelf sooner rather than later. And unfortunately, I have a feeling it's going to be Star Trek. It's going to be put on the shelf for probably a long time. And I fear that's going to happen. And, for people who are podcast content creators like myself and people like that I know of, like Mission Log and Recommendations and the BQN Podcast Network and the Roddenberry Podcast Network and other such aspects of the show, other facets of the Star Trek podcasting community who do this kind of stuff for a weekly or monthly basis. We're going to run out of material. I have big plans for the rest of the year for Twin Cities Trekkies and in 2027. I can tell you guys know what my plans are. I plan to continue the 60 years of the Final Frontier celebration soon. I'm going to reach out to people soon regarding that. And then in 2027, we're going to celebrate 40 years of Star Trek The Next Generation. So we're going to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Star Trek The Next Generation. We're going to have a bunch of people. I have plans to talk about Star Trek The Next Generation that year. And also probably celebrating the 10th anniversary of Star Trek Discovery. Probably talking about that because we're going to need to talk about it. We're going to need to talk about both series on 2027 because this podcast is still going to go as long as we can probably continue. If Star Trek's going to continue as a MAGA friendly franchise because of the Ellisons and how much they support Donald Trump and the MAGA movement in the United States, the right-wing fascist movement of the United States. If they continue on that path and Star Trek becomes that a vehicle for that movement, then we will just stop talking about the new era of Star Trek. We will just stop right there at the season 5 of Strange New Worlds. We will just stop right there. We won't talk about the new stuff unless we gotta get some reassurances from Ellison that they don't intend to, in my opinion, forgive my French, but fuck up Star Trek. And stuff like that. So, but that's what we're trying to do for Twin Cities Trekkies for at least the rest of the year. Hopefully, we'll be at Twin Cities Con in November. We'll know next month if we got accepted to do a panel at Twin Cities Con again. We had a blast last year, so we had a blast doing our 100th episode live from Twin Cities Con. We had a blast. So we had a blast meeting all of you and stuff like that. Hopefully you'll be able to come again to Twin Cities Con. It's November 20th to 22nd this year. It's the week before Thanksgiving this year, as opposed to the first weekend in November. But it will be at the Minneapolis Convention Center. I know that one Star Trek actor will be there. Will Wheaton will be there. But I wouldn't be surprised if other ones show up, such as Jonathan Frakes. I wouldn't be surprised. But I accidentally met him when I was a kid. But I told that story before to another podcaster, but I've told that story before. I met Jonathan Frakes accidentally at a Star Trek convention at the Minneapolis Convention Center in the mid '90s. So, and it was 97, so it was between First Contact and Insurrection coming out in theaters. So it was in the middle of spring or summer of 1997. If I remember correctly, now it was the middle between Insurrection and First Contact and Insurrection. So I do remember that. So I think I remember that. I don't remember the exact date, but I do remember he came to Minneapolis for the Star Trek convention that happened in 1997. So back when Star Trek conventions were all over the place and stuff like that. We did. I'm going to let you guys know also that I did order the Voyager documentary, To the Journey. I was told I just ordered it. I've gotten it taken out of my bank account. I'm hoping to get it soon. I was told by the end of August I'll get it. They're getting through all their backers right now, sending them all out. But I am probably I'm looking forward to watching it, especially I got the double set. I got the deluxe set, which is what includes the movie plus the bonus features disc as well, extra bonus features disc. So that was $65, and I had money to spend, so I had money I could afford it, so I spent $65 to get both discs, both the Blu-ray of the movie of the documentary plus the special features on that Blu-ray plus the bonus features disc as well. So I was told by the end of August that I'll get it, but I will let you guys know when I do get it. I hope it will be soon because I'm actually forward to see it because we've gone past 30 years, but I know I know they've had a lot of it's been constantly been delayed. It was started in 2020, then the pandemic started, and then it got delayed, and it kept on getting delayed until they finally got it done earlier this year after 6 years of doing it. So I don't know if anybody's going to be doing this, but next month AMC theaters are going to be releasing a few of the Star Trek episodes on the big screen and some of the movies that are attached to it. If you want to go for it, I'm not going to force anybody to do it. But if you don't want to give your money to David and Larry Ellison, by doing so, don't do it. That's all I'm going to say. Am I missing anything regarding news or things that are going on in my life? You notice that the setup was a little different than before. I moved my desk from over there to over here. And then you can see the Star Trek stuff in the background. That poster on this side, I've had since the 90s. So I've had that poster. The badge thing is actually made by my stepsister. She made that, and that thing was a gift from my wife. It says my other right is the USS Enterprise. So and stuff like that. I don't know what else to tell you about that. Something going on. I don't know what else to go talk about regarding things that are going on before we talk about Strange New Worlds. I think that's it. So let's talk about Strange New Worlds. Human Best Friend. I watched this on Friday morning. So I was off Friday because I actually had gone to see a Minnesota Lynx game the night before, which is our WNBA franchise. I'm going to go see a Wolves game, a Lynx game. So I stayed home the next day because it was late. It was a late tip off, and I didn't get home until about like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I would have been tired the next morning. So I took the day off. So from work. So I watched it Friday morning before I left to go do other things. What is wrong with Strange New Worlds? I get it. This is something that Star Trek Strange New Worlds has been doing since the middle of season 2. I want to say they've been doing it since the middle of season 2. They've been taking big swings and either hitting it out of the park or missing completely. Big swings like the crossover with Lower Decks, the musical episode, bringing in Chilean again for the first time since the original series. I don't know, some other things that weren't that good in season 3. I know that the strikes kind of affected it, and I kind of would agree that the strikes did somewhat affect the writing of the show because the season was in pre-production at the time of the strikes. They had 3 episodes written out of 10, and then once the strikes started, all production ceased. There was no writing, no background work, nothing, nada, zippo. And then when it came back, I don't know what the heck happened. What on earth happened in season 3? Didn't spill over to season 4, but this one was, the first 2 episodes I really did enjoy. Valis Berneris and the Griffin Incident have been stellar episodes. Have been stellar. Because I liked Valis Berneris because I felt it was an extension / prequel to Distant Origin from Voyager. And I thought the Griffin Incident was probably the best example of horror that Star Trek has done. I mean, I have some soft spots for the other ones they've done over the years, such as Macrocosm from Voyager or Impulse from Enterprise, which, speaking of that, I will be on the Undiscovered podcast coming up soon, talking about a couple episodes of Enterprise. It would be Impulse, which is episode 5 of season 3. And then later, a few weeks later after that, we'll be talking about Twilight. This is actually my favorite episode from season 3 of Enterprise, other than Azadi Prime or Similitude or Countdown was great too. The whole season's great, except for a few clunkers. Exile and Chosen Realm are the ones that I think of are the clunkers. But definitely, the episodes are definitely something that, is the Griffin Incident, I have high hopes for it because it was a great episode. It was a great episode all the way around. I thought it was creepy. I thought it was great. I'm not a big fan of the horror genre, but I really did enjoy it. And Star Trek has done horror in the past. They haven't done this. They have done it before, like episodes like Night Terrors from the Next Generation, Cat Spa from the original series, which is actually technically their Halloween episode because it aired closer to Halloween. Empok Nor from DS9, Impulse from Enterprise. Discovery never did that, maybe because it was a serialized story. Same with Picard. Prodigy kind of did that with one of the episodes in which they went to the planet and they crash landed. They not crash landed, but they landed on a planet, and it screwed up their minds. And Lower Decks did it, I think. But yeah, Strange New Worlds did a great job with it, and we have to give thanks to XL Carolyn who directed the episode. But we get to this episode, Human Best Friend. And I like I said, I watched it Friday morning, and because I wanted to be part of the conversation on Captain Squadron that night, and I was going and my reaction to it was, what the fuck did I just watch? I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of the movies they were trying to emulate, the big, let's get high and drunk kind of stories, movies like Harold and Kumar, Dude, Where's My Car, and The Hangover. This was that does not work well for Star Trek, and that's my personal opinion. I'm not gonna hate on anybody who did love it. If you love this episode and you thought it was one of the funniest episodes you ever watched, hey, more power to you. I thought it was one of the most dumbest episodes I ever watched, and I actually legitimately said to myself after the episode was done, I was going what the fuck did I just watch? Because while I have seen bits and pieces of those movies, it's not a good genre for Star Trek. It's not. Now, if you had more of more of a screwball comedy, with toilet humor and stuff like that, then maybe. But this isn't. I'm sorry, this isn't Lower Decks, folks. Catherine Lynn, who wrote the episode, who was a writer on Lower Decks. I understand what she was trying to do because she wrote the crossover with Lower Decks episode, and I'm going this is the Lower Decks crossover is one of the classics of the original of Strange New Worlds. But this one, nope on a rope, as my wife likes to say, when she doesn't like certain things. Nope on a rope. And that's how I feel about this episode of Strange New Worlds. Human Best Friend. The episode's title comes from Spock because he tells Kirk he believes that who believes is an illusion, says that he's never had a human best friend. So, but there were some good parts in the episode. I'm not going to say the entire episode is irredeemable, but the episode is. But there was great parts of it, like the whole Spock and Kirk thing was good. I'm glad that Ortegas and Scotty have buried their hatchet and kind of had more in common than not, and became friends. And Rebecca Romijn singing a Bonnie Tyler song in Klingon. I'm gonna say that like what Ed said on Captain's Quadrant. He said like it's strangely eerie that Strange New Worlds has made tribute to two people in the entertainment industry who have died recently, with 3 episodes that definitely did that. Did like an homage to what they were doing. Like this one, it was Bonnie Tyler, who passed away last month, with Rebecca Romijn singing a song in Klingon, one of her songs in Klingon, which was an interesting choice. But and then Sam Neill with Valis Maneras and the Griffin incident with like Jurassic Park and Event Horizon. But definitely that's interesting. So that is very, very eerie. So I don't know what I'm going to think about this. I'm going to give it probably like a 2 out of 10 out of this, 2 out of 5 for this. And that's because I don't personally enjoy this. I personally don't enjoy this kind of screwball comedy. If it was like more like on tune with, I like dumb comedies. This was like American Pie level, dude, where's my car thing. And it doesn't work well for Star Trek. I know they got inspiration for that, but it just didn't work, in my opinion. It just didn't work. I'm going to echo what my friend Jason Hatswell said. Jace from the Captain's Quadrant. This episode sucks. This episode sucked. And I'm like, this is an episode I won't watch anytime soon. I won't rewatch it because I just thought it was terrible. It was really, really terrible. I mean, granted, I've seen a lot of shit Star Trek in my life. I've seen a lot of it. I've seen a lot of shit Star Trek in my life, like Code of Honor and Angel One from the Next Generation for being racist and sexist. But definitely, this was bad. I thought 4.5 Vulcans would be the low bar for how stupid humor can be in this series. I thought 4.5 Vulcans did that. They took that bar and set it even lower than that. Like I said, I've said before, 2 out of 3 this season isn't that bad. I have high hopes for the last 7 episodes of the season. I hope this is the only clunker, because there is going to be a great. I have a feeling that we're going to get some great episodes. We're going to get a time travel story. We're going to get 2, at least, with the Chronotons episode and also the season finale, Tomorrow's Enterprise, which I am looking forward to, because I'm actually looking forward to how that all works out. But and then a really funny episode like the Muppet episode that's coming in a couple weeks. Level 5 transporter accident. That's what it's called. But I'm kind of curious how that is going to play out. If is this going to be Pike or is it going to be the entire crew? Who knows? But for that episode, I'm anticipating a Muppet version of the title sequence. So I am anticipating that, at least. But definitely, this was an episode that I really wish I hadn't watched. And it was just my honest reaction. I thought it was, what the fuck did I just watch? So if you like this kind of episode, this kind of like, I want to get high kind of episode, and watch it and go like, oh, look at that, I was so high, oh my god. Yeah, that's your kind of humor, then more power to you. I don't like it, but that's just me. So that's the end of the discussion for today. If you're going to watch this later, please give us a like, subscribe to this podcast YouTube channel, and we'll see you next week. Because it looked like it worked the entire time. So we'll do it next week with episode 4 of Strange New Worlds. Excuse me. That is. Excuse me. I'm trying to get there first. So episode 4 is called A Case of Chiaroscuro, which I am seeing from screenshots. It's going to be the film noir episode. It's in black and white. I've seen it. I've heard it's going to be in black and white. So it will be interesting to see what that means. So it'll be interesting to see what that does. So a film noir episode. Hey, if it's better than this one, I'm all for it. So we'll see you next week. Take care and live long and prosper.